I discovered that my longtime friend has been lying for nearly a decade about being a nurse when records show she never graduated or held a license. Posted by u/ok_hurry9284. Using a throwaway so I don't dox myself. I, 32F, have a friend from high school, Amy, 32F. We are 14 years out of high school and 10 years out of college. We went to a small private high school that was pretty intense, the kind of place where people always ask where are you going to college instead of if. After graduation, I went to a big state school a few hours away from our hometown. Amy decided she wanted to study nursing, so she decided to go to the small university in our hometown since it has a great program and she could save money living at home. We stayed friends through college, we'd get dinner when I was home on weekends, and she drove up to visit my school once or twice a year. After graduating, I moved across the country for graduate school. She stayed in our hometown and told me she'd been accepted to a competitive residency program for new nursing graduates at a local hospital. My mom is a nurse in the same hospital system Amy started at and told me it was a big deal for Amy to get in because the program has less than a 10% acceptance rate. I was really proud. We drifted apart a little bit when I moved, but she still stood up in my wedding and we tried to catch up every time I came home. I ended up settling down near my graduate school and have a career I love, think accountant, lawyer, doctor, etc. I tried to check on Amy throughout the pandemic because I knew she was in the ICU, and I saw how hard it was for my mom in the non-critical care department. Amy would tell me horror stories about how traumatic it was, and how it was so hard not to be able to talk about work because a bad day for most people might mean sending follow-up emails, but for her it probably meant someone died. I have other friends who worked ICU and that sounded pretty consistent with what they said. Last summer she told me she was starting to think about leaving nursing and going to school for something less intense like business. Fast forward to about a month ago. I was following a news story from the state we grew up in, think true crime, and people in the comments started arguing about whether or not someone involved was a nurse. One person posted the link to the state nursing licensure database. I clicked it and was trying to see how much information it would provide about someone, so I put in Amy's name. And nothing came up. I would have let it go, except I remembered that about 5 years ago my mom had looked for Amy in their system database and didn't see her, so she asked me if Amy had switched jobs. Amy said she hadn't, so I assumed my boomer mother just couldn't use an Outlook address book. Sorry, Mom. I tried to find a logical explanation. Did she get married and not tell me? No, maiden names come up. Did she lose her license? No, it seemed like you could see suspended or inactive licenses. Did she have a different legal name? No, I've traveled with her and seen her airline ticket and ID. I sent a text to ask her to remind me what hospital she worked at. She responded and told me she had switched to another hospital in our hometown. I found a friend of a friend whose mom was a nurse at the hospital Amy said she was working at, and sure enough, they didn't know her and couldn't find her in their system. So I started digging. Eventually, I was able to find the grad list from Amy's college for our year. She wasn't on it, or any of the 3 years before or after. And I realized I had never seen a picture of her at her graduation. I'm pretty sure she at least enrolled at one point because I went to a volleyball game with her our freshman year of college and met friends from her program. I dug more and found out from court records that she's had financial troubles. She's been sued by debt collection agencies multiple times in the past few years. And eventually, I was able to figure out what she actually does. She's the office manager for a dental practice. A totally normal and not worth hiding job. Her bio on the practice's website said she's been working there for 8 years. At this point in my life, Amy is the only person from our high school class that I keep in contact with, but she's still close with a few people who ended up back in our hometown, and I follow those people on Instagram. I checked their pages, and at least as of 2020 they thought she was a nurse because one captioned a photo, "Happy birthday to our favorite nurse, thanks for taking all of our frantic medical questions." Amy had removed the tag so it didn't show up on her pages. I found something Amy's mom posted about a year after we would have graduated college that tagged Amy and had an RN pin in it, so it seems like at one point her parents thought she was a nurse too. She's no longer friends with her parents on social media, so maybe they had a falling out? My head was spinning because there was no way Amy would lie to me, but then I started thinking back on the last 10 years and I'm an idiot. Have you heard the dead dog in a duffel bag story? Google it if not, it's a famous urban legend. Our freshman year of college she told me that happened to her, and I thought maybe she had embellished but didn't realize it was an urban legend. Last summer I met her new boyfriend, and she said, "Oh yeah, he really wants me to quit nursing and go to business school, so don't bring up nursing or we'll fight." Freshman year of high school someone spilled soda all over one of my textbooks in the library after I left it sitting on a table with Amy. She said she had gotten up to go to the bathroom and came back and found it like that. Like, I'm so freaking dumb. So far, I haven't said a word to Amy or anyone who knows her besides my parents. Some people have said, maybe she flunked out of college and was just embarrassed and thought you would judge her, but obviously you're going to support her no matter what. Others have said, confront her and see if there is a good explanation. Others still have said, just ghost her, time to cut and run. She's texted me a few times recently, and I just haven't known what to say. I think I need to tell her that I know. What is the best way to approach this conversation? I feel like I would cry on a phone call, but texting feels like dropping a bomb on her. I'm mad, but I'm not trying to upset her or send her into a spiral. Editor's note. I googled it for you. The dead dog in a duffel bag is a popular urban legend about a person, often a woman, transporting a deceased pet in luggage, only to be mugged by a stranger who helps with a heavy bag and then runs off with it, expecting valuables but finding a dead dog instead. So yeah. Amy said that happened to her. Top/relevant comments. Commenter. With the other lies and how deep she's been lying about this, I'm thinking pathological liar. Lying about how tough your job is during COVID is diabolical. She was most likely not even working, as most dentist offices were shut down. So imagine sitting on the couch all day, telling people you're watching people die, how much you're struggling. There's no amount of shame for dropping out of college that could make anyone do that. At this point, she's lying for all the attention. I went to high school with a girl that was a pathological liar. The things she said were insane. She said she used to be a Crip but changed to a Blood because, gangs just let you change. She's white, her parents were rich and lived in a very affluent neighborhood. They had a movie theater and billiard room in their house. One week she came to school with a gauze bandage on her hip, telling everyone she got a tattoo of a tiger. The next week, it was never talked about again, and there was obviously no tattoo. If you've ever had a tattoo, you know you wouldn't cover a fresh tattoo with gauze. Her real dad was the head of a cartel too. Again, she was fully white but claimed she was half Latina. The worst, most disgusting lie of all though, was on September 11th she came to school sobbing. Said a couple of her cousins were on a field trip to the WTC and died. The school called her parents to offer their condolences. Her mom said they have no family there and was very confused. Op's friend is a pathological liar and needs therapy. Commenter 2. Wow, I'm floored that she would keep up the ruse for 10 years. She could easily have just told everyone she hated the job and decided to go a different direction. I guess if you want to stay friends with her, then maybe just not say anything. Although I'm not quite sure why anyone would want to stay friends with someone who would continue to lie to them for so long. If you want to confront her, I think I would send her a text or an email saying, I received some information that indicates you never graduated from nursing school, never received your nursing license, and never worked at XYZ hospital. A quick search of the nursing license database and university record seems to confirm the information I have. On the off chance that I am mistaken, I wanted to give you the opportunity to set the record straight. I'm disappointed you didn't feel comfortable enough to be honest with me. You can then take it from there. Maybe she just didn't know how to tell you that nursing wasn't for her. As a registered nurse, my primary concern would be if she is telling other people that she is a licensed professional and giving out advice on dealing with healthcare issues. Please update us. Update 1 month later. Initially after posting this, I thought I was going to go the route of not saying anything to Amy and slowly stepping back. But I kept thinking about it, so a week or so ago I sent her a text that just said I had found out she worked at the dental office, that I felt confused and hurt, and that she didn't owe me an explanation, but I was open to hearing from her if she wanted to share anything. She texted back that night and said that working there was something she started doing on the side initially, and she hadn't told anyone for a while because she was afraid of not being who people thought she was. She said that it has been like a really rough 8 years, and that she hated her job and felt like she was failing at life. Finally, she said that she also didn't tell me because we see each other so infrequently I wasn't sure it mattered. That last part was what really frustrated me because it's not like work didn't come up, she was actively telling me elaborate lies. I also wasn't sure if she was trying to save part of the lie. 8 years ago only gets us back to 2 years post-college graduation. I responded and asked if, when she said she hated her job, she meant nursing. She never responded. At that point, I hadn't talked about the situation with anyone who knew Amy besides my husband and my parents. I decided to reach out to someone else we went to high school with, Gwen. The three of us were super tight in high school, but Gwen and Amy stayed close longer because Gwen moved back to our hometown after going to school out of state. Incidentally, she is a nurse, and yes, I checked. I knew they had grown apart in recent years since Gwen had kids, so I didn't feel like I was interfering with any of her current important relationships. I asked Gwen where Amy had said she was working when they last spoke. Gwen told me she could never quite pin Amy down on that, but she was pretty sure it was hospital system B. I let her know what I had found, and apparently her husband has been saying that Amy was faking being a nurse since 2016, but Gwen thought he was being dramatic. That year, Amy went to visit Gwen and her husband out of state, and Gwen needed a TB test read before she started a clinical. Any licensed nurse can read a TB test, so she asked Amy to sign it since she was there. Amy took it and said she would look at it later. After Amy left, she swore up and down that she had left the signed TB test on the coffee table, but Gwen never found it. She had also told Gwen that she was a labor and delivery nurse. Gwen and I talked about potentially saying something to the other people we went to high school with who are still close with Amy because we would both want to know. Instead, I settled on sending Amy one more text to make it clear that I knew she had never been a nurse at all, that I was so sorry she had not felt like she could share the truth about her day-to-day life for so long, and that for what it was worth I thought the other friends deserved the truth because I would have rather heard it from Amy instead of putting it together myself. It's been about 5 days and no response, and I'm not expecting one anytime soon. She's still watching my Instagram stories and posting on socials. Right now, I'm not planning on reaching out to our other high school classmates, but it is something I have still thought about. Top/relevant comments. Commenter. Yikes. I feel sad for her. My sibling is a pathological liar. After over 15 years of marriage and nearly 30 together, their spouse confided in me that they did not know what my sibling did for a living anymore, but they did bring in money. But they lied about everything, they always have. And I don't get it. I mean, our mother was also a liar, so I get why he thinks lying is okay, but it's too much effort to have to keep it all straight. And eventually people catch on. He just does not acknowledge it when someone calls him out. He doubles down. It's so crazy. They finally divorced. It's a sad situation. Like, why can't you just be a normal person and live a normal life? Why lie about anything? You don't have to be super special. People who aren't doctors and lawyers or whatever are still worthy of love and friendship. It is so bizarre. Commenter 2. I used to be a pathological liar. Not as bad as Amy or your brother, but I would lie 30-ish times a day. I had a breakdown about a decade ago from anxiety, and while I was in the hospital, I also learned to deal with my lying. 10 years of therapy later, and I can say I don't lie anymore. I still get the urge. If someone asks me what time it is and it's 3:20, I'm tempted to lie and say 3:19. No reason. No effect. If someone asks me my favorite color, I feel the urge to lie. When I was really young, 5 to 8-ish, it was like a game. I won if they believed my lies. Everything from what did you eat this morning to what's your name. Sort of a power trip? As I got older, it became a defense mechanism. I have deep-seated trust issues. To this day, I have a hard time socializing because I'm just super skeptical of everyone's intentions. So lying became a way to protect myself. No one could hurt me if they knew nothing about me. It was still a power trip, but now one with a purpose. For me, it really came down to I don't want to be a part of this world, so I'm going to make sure the real me is never found. My breakdown effing sucked, but I guess good things still came from it. Commenter 3. Op said they attended an intense, private high school system. I wonder if that kind of high-pressure environment instilled a succeed-at-all-costs kind of mindset. It's sad. Maybe she thought that no one at home would accept her if she didn't have a prestigious and honorable career. She might have thought, they can't know the real me, even though there is nothing wrong at all with her actual job. Maybe it was just easier to lie in the beginning, but a lie leads to more lies, and maybe at some point she felt in too deep to turn around. I know this is all just guesswork, but I feel bad for her if this was the case. Editor's note. The Baru subreddit marked this as inconclusive, but I think it's concluded because Op has not made another update since her last one in December 2024. Her initial reasoning for coming to Reddit in the first place was about how to confront her lying friend, which she did do, and saw that her friend just kept lying to her. So I think it's safe to assume she is no longer friends with Amy, probably cut contact, and has moved on with her life.